Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Book to Block, the series where I bring my fantasy novel to life in Minecraft, one block at a time. In today's episode, wait a second, do you hear that noise? I wonder what that is. Whoa, okay, that's feeling a little bit better. We're being in a little bit more of a festive mood for today. This is going to be my kind of Christmas decorating episode. And looking around, things don't look very Christmassy or kind of wintry. So in today's episode, we're going to change that. Let's get into it. Alright, so the first thing I'm thinking needs to change about this area is the climate. Right now it's looking very warm and cozy, and for a Christmassy feel and wintry feel, it needs to be colder. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to change the biome. So that's like an instant change. You can see from my outskirts, I've already started changing the biome everywhere. So we can just do a quick little change. So we go over to the biome painter in Axiom. Then we have to choose the biome we want. We want ice, I guess. Ice spikes, maybe not. I can scroll down. I want something cold, not oceans. Let's keep going. Frozen peaks is what I did for everything else. I guess we want to do frozen river, and we can do that around here. We want to fill vertically. I accidentally just turned the bottom of the lake here. So if we do that, you can see that changes the biome here. So we just quickly go around a little bit. And then if I go over to weather and I turn on the rain, in this area, it's going to turn it to snow. Let's see if it changes. So you can see there's snowing here, but it's not freezing over. Maybe it needs a little on the edge. Nope, that means this is the wrong... Oh wait, no, here we go. So it needs to come from the outside in. So let's see if I draw a quick line between these two. Let's take a look and see how it progresses. Alright, looks like it's finishing up. I guess I forgot the main rule of how ice mechanics work in Minecraft. It has to have an adjacent block, so you can't start in the center here. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to undo all this, and I want to do it all at once. So let's see if we can get rid of it all at once. Let's see, is this going to melt at all? Maybe over time, but I don't want to wait around for that, so we're just going to delete this. Oh, and it looks like it messed up the water, so let's fix that, and then let's do a full kind of time lapse of snowifying and winterifying this area. Alright, and there is step one. As you can see, I went a little bit further than what the time lapse showed. I went all the way to the edge, kind of went around the volcano because it generates so much heat. It's not going to get all snowy, so no ice and snow and Christmas for the volcano city this time. But we've got all this sort of stuff. It's kind of like flickering in and out based on what distant horizon does. This is close enough where it loads it in, but just past it, it doesn't load it and it like texturizes everything, so you can kind of see what's in my render distance. If I maybe lower my render distance down, then everything will look a little bit better, and it's just only to there you can kind of see the difference. But that maybe works a little bit better for keeping everything a little bit more consistent in the viewing portion. But now that we have everything iced over, we started decorating things. So, first things first, we got to get a little bit more color in things, and also all these grass and stuff needs to be dealt with because it kind of looks a little bit too patchy. I mean, it does add a little bit of texture, but we want it to look very snowed in. So first things first, let's deal with all this grass and stuff. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to grab it and throw it into this. I'm going to freehand select just because they're not connected. I can't really do magic select. And if I do this, let's see if it just works like that. Throw it to rain. And then if we give it a second and then throw it back to clear, now let's jump down here, and it's starting to snow it over. So it's missing the bits under the trees, of course, just because it can't reach it. So maybe I'll download that little add-on that kind of improves that. But what we got to do is we got to get rid of all of this stuff. So let's throw in an or statement, and then just throw all these in. So the flowers too. I've made a backup of this world, so I don't have to worry about anything getting deleted. I'm going to get rid of the seagrass too, just so this can freeze over properly. Looks like we got an oxeye daisy in there. And if we go like this, Oh, looks like we're missing, what is this? So we're missing a bush and also the moss carpet. So let's see, does this get rid of everything? We're looking a lot better. Throw on that rain again. It's gonna close everything up. These are gonna seal properly this time. Looks like it did mess up because the rain, or I guess the water gets deleted along with it, so I'll have to maybe do those manually. But we can start deleting these properly and getting everything looking a lot better if we just do a quick over like delete, throw back to clear, and by the time it's back, so that's kind of the difference. It's looking a lot more snowy than greeny. So I'll go around, quickly fix all of those, and then we can move on to the next step. Alright, everything's looking a little bit better. The only little bits that aren't kind of are these path blocks, just because snow can't land on them. But that's okay, because it kind of still makes it look like that's like a walked path, which is all good. I had to go around and manually do a lot of the ice, just because I had a lot of the seaweed and stuff on the top blocks. And now, I just installed a little add-on, so if I go back to rain, we'll check under these trees, and you can see slowly. So basically all it does is it adds the snow blocks underneath blocks. So you're not going to be, I guess it's mostly just for trees because it doesn't look like it's doing here, which is kind of smart because I don't want snow getting under here. Maybe I'll add little piles and stuff, but I want to add under these trees so everything feels a little bit more immersive. Don't know if it's like going to skip some that have, because these are slabs, not like wood logs, so it might have to do these ones manually. But that's a lot better. You can see it on the big trees, kind of hard to see when it's snowing, makes it really foggy. But if I come over here, it's slowly going to add in. I can speed it up, or I can just let it go on its own and see how much it does. For the bits on the ice here, these ones aren't going to freeze over, just because it has a light block so close, so it'll melt it on its own. As you can see there, it just melted on its own. So the next thing, we have to make everything feel more wintry. So that means gotta get rid of all the crops. So you can see everything's already turned to ice. So if I just delete all this, it'll get rid of all that. We go delete, delete. So we don't want any kind of plant or plant life because it's not going to grow in the middle of winter. Now these are still going because I have hidden a little bit of water underneath. So I kind of have to go around. Maybe if I click this and just delete it, just so that it turns back to the dries out, and then snow can land on it. So I just got to go around. Maybe if I kind of middle click that one. So maybe if I just click water, that, and then we can just select and delete. So let's go over top, scribble around, see if I can get it over here as well. Which parts am I missing? That's looking good. Just missed a couple. Some of them are going to be like hidden in like half slabs. So if I come over here, there we go, that's one. Want to keep the rocks so it's like continuity. Looks like I missed this one. Let's just, there we go. Couple hidden over here. I got one hidden in this slab here, as well as over here, and then one over here. And that should be most of them. Just one last piece. Just couldn't reach it, I guess. There we go, maybe. One more. A little bit. There we go. And that's fixed there. Next thing. All my animals. They're not going to want to stay out here in all the winter. So I think it's time to actually utilize our barn. And let's move them all in here. Alright, I know I could just delete all these pigs and animals and then just respawn some new ones. But I think I'm going to take them, keep the care, keep the originals, bring them all out, and just drag them through. We can bring them all up, just make it feel a little bit more realistic and kind of give myself. Looks like some things have been like removed. I don't know what's going on here. I'm gonna have to go back to the video where I built this and figure out why these slabs or these trap doors are here, because I don't think that's what's meant to be in these spots. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Give me those back. Come on, come on. I think it's because I'm clicking too fast with that. Now we can just drag these guys in here. I'm gonna have to figure out, because this looks like it should be another wall. That may be a full block. So something went wrong there. Let's grab these guys, drag them on into here. We're gonna close up. usually be a lot easier. There we go. So it looks like that's all attached. Maybe I can add in a little bit of mud for these guys, make them feel a little bit more at home. The replace block, just add a little bit, just to make them feel a little bit more at home. Now we have to go and do the same for my cows. These guys are staying in. Some of the pigs have somehow managed to get out. I still haven't located the area which they kind of jump over. It's going to be one of these areas where they can kind of just walk over the edge. But let's go grab the rest of them, put them in the barn, and that'll be this area kind of dealt with. Alright, I know I said I was going to keep the original ones, but when I spawn them now, since the biome has changed, we get the winter variant, so I think this fits a little bit better, looks a little cooler. These guys are really into that hay. Added a little bit of water troughs, and fixed up that weird damage that was caused by those trap doors. I'm really not sure what happened. I did find a couple blocks that were replaced with trapdoors as well, so I'm probably going to have to... Actually, it was probably from this. When I was replacing these, I probably just went and swung and just kept a replace tool on and just randomly replaced a bunch of blocks. That's what it probably was. Gotta get our horses out of here, maybe put them, no, that's kind of storage. Maybe we can have them moved into our stables over here. Because, yeah, these guys are kind of already in here, so I'll just probably remove those guys, make them feel a little bit more at home. Looks like we have to get rid of some more blocks that I didn't include in my deleting thing. So maybe just drag that in. And let's go and quickly remove a bunch of these, because they're probably all over the way, and it's just gonna mess up my snowy area. That is another thing added. Alright, now that we have set the scene, gotten all the winterification of the area in place, there are some other places, like maybe way over there, I'll do for the final shots, but I'm trying to get like an angle, have it look good from inside the village, because this is kind of my area I like to decorate. I did the same for when I did my Halloween update, decorated this village just because the mountain city, my volcano, isn't complete yet. Maybe when it is complete I can start decorating that as well on my holiday episodes. But the next thing we have to do is we have to start actually decorating with real things opposed to the weather and stuff. So I'm thinking this is kind of our village square, so this is where we're going to add our massive tree. So what I can do is if I go in, I gotta find it, it's in my window, and then we have to go into my blueprint browser. So looking through these, gotta find my biggest, probably spruce tree. So I think it's this one, spruce 3. So if I paste that in, that's a pretty big tree for this area. So let's take a look. So this one's on an angle, so it kind of gives a little bit of detail, swaying in the wind. So I think that's a good placement for it. Maybe just shift it over slightly so it's a little bit more centered. So this is one of the trees that are on those outskirts out there. It's one of them. So we can kind of maybe add a little bit more, get the roots in like they just brought it over. You can kind of see I made a mistake in this world. I kind of added blackstone everywhere when I was adjusting over there. So lots of little hidey work to do. Next is kind of fixing up these stalls, because I don't think he's going to be selling any apples in this climate. So we're going to fix that up. He's going to have to probably be removed. The meat is probably still okay. He can probably still sell a little bit. This guy, probably not too much wheat's going on in this climate. Everything's kind of dried out. Most things are probably going to be sold in the major store. So I'm going to turn all these. The fishermen can stay because they can probably do a little bit of ice fishing, because there's still all the fish underneath. If we fly under here, you can see them still in here because the snow or the ice insulates the water, so it's still nice and warm down here. Placed a couple misplaced ice blocks, but that's fine because we won't be going down there anymore. So now let us get this tree up, fix up this square, and decorate a little bit more. Alright, things are looking a little bit different. So you might notice I've added a little bit of a texture pack. So if I go over to resource packs, just a festive mashup one, just adds a lot of different colors. I mean, it doesn't have all the blocks, as you can probably see here. It hasn't textured the tough blocks or a couple others, but it just makes things look a little bit better. I mean, if we go and we turn it off, let's see how everything looks without the texture pack. It's going to look a little weird, because I've been using like cobwebs and other things, and a bit of carpet on the heads of these guys, but mostly it still looks decent. I added these fungus, but once you turn the texture back on, that looks like it's also part of it maybe, so let's see. Everything looks a little bit cooler, getting a little bit more festive cheer into it all. Just thought I would add a little bit more decorations to it, so I've decorated up my tree a little bit. Also got my big old star on here, and then just everything looks more decorated just because the texture pack just adds a lot on its own. Got my little snowmen everywhere. It textures also my little villagers as little elves, so it adds a little bit there. I've put all the presents under the tree, and then we have some presents being shipped in. I'm thinking I'm also going to turn this into just a very specific storefront, just because it is my default kind of for sale. I never really gave this a purpose. It's more of just for rent, so maybe it'll be used for the holidays here. So just a couple last little bit things. You can see even here, the iron bar has been changed in the entity of this sign. Looks a little glitchy. I probably have to shift those sticks around. Even adds a little bit, making my little dwarf statues a little bit more colorful, giving them very bright red beards. Alright, so just a couple last minute little details. I've got my little ice fishing hole so that the fishermen can actually keep getting this fish throughout the winter and they don't lose their way of life. So they've already caught a couple salmon here. It's been a little bit retextured. Got my fishing poles. They used an axe to dig it up because they probably don't have the regular tools that like modern people would use to dig this up. So they hatch it away, get a nice hole through. The way I got this to stop freezing is I changed this area just back to a plains and then just removed and placed in water. Otherwise it keeps freezing over. Got a little bit of snow on the side. And then something I also noticed is that vines have been retextured and they're actually animated. So you can see they're a little bit Christmas-like. So I added those around a little bit more. And we've got our Christmas village all set and done. Alright, and that is where we're going to leave it for today's episode. A little bit of a shorter one, but I just want to spread a little bit of Christmas cheer during the holiday seasons. Maybe not an episode next week, depending on how much time I have between now and then to make up one, because I'll be spending a bit of time with the family for Christmas. But I hope you all enjoyed, and if you did, maybe leave a like and subscribe for more episodes coming soon. And as always, until next time, happy holidays.